Good afternoon to everyone and very welcome to the European Roundtable. This one co-organized with Grace, Sodalitas, Forética, FACE, Impronta, Etica and RBF Poland. My name is Luís Roberto, I'm Vice President of Grace, and during the next hour and a half we are going to talk and debate upskilling the workforce for the new era, the challenges of employee engagement. First of all, and before we start the presentations and the debate of this session, I would like to thank CSR Europe for the organization of the SDG Summit 2020. This year, as you can see, in a different model. And thank you to our guests that has accepted our invitation to share with us their experience as leaders of multinational companies operating in Europe. So I would like to thank Philip Morris, BNP Paribas Bank Polska, and Sanofi to be present or to join us. During our roundtable, we will have around 20 minutes for questions and answers. So please raise your questions. They are very important for us, and they will be more than welcome. And Ricardo Trujillo from Forética in Spain will be responsible or will moderate that period for questions and answers. So before we start in the conversations with the CSR and all the other guests, so I would like to say some words about our subject today. Upskilling is actually an opportunity for the companies. They benefit from the increased competitiveness and improve the performance? Yes or no? This is the questions that come from my mind at the moment. As the coronavirus accelerated the digitalisation of work and services, are the companies and employees ready to upskill? Are they prepared for the new skills transformation and for all challenges related? Are the people engaged for this? So, as you can imagine, and probably you are aware, many companies are still struggling to create an upskilling strategy into an action plan due to the internal resistance. I mean, the resistance of management to make the necessary investments, because at the end of the day, we are talking about invest on people and some employees who are, I would say, unwilling to accept new occupations. According to the World Economic Forum last report, by 2025, the time spent on current working tasks by humans and machines will be equal, and around 97 million new rules may emerge as a new division of labor between humans, machines, and algorithms. I would say that's the new future. The top skills which employees see as a priority to 2025 includes things like critical thinking and analysis, problem solving, and the self-management such as active learning, such as resilience, stress tolerance or stress management, and finally, flexibility. The new Digital Europe program with a budget of 600 million euros dedicated to advanced digital skills will expand the digital talent pool with almost 300,000 people who will be able to deploy the last technology in business throughout Europe. The window of opportunity to reskill and upskill workers has become shorter in the new constraint and uncertainty labor market, and employees must start to recognize the value of human capital investment and see the upskilling as an opportunity. But the point is how HR organizations or structures can support this transformation for those who are at risk of losing their jobs due to this tech wave progress and the consequent companies restructuring. Which tools and approach we can use to manage the transformation in a decent work and leaving no one behind. So we cannot also forget that this roundtable is inspired by the project Upskill for Future, which has been launched by CSR Europe 2 years and a half ago with the support of JP Morgan, and is now running in several countries such as Spain, Italy, France, and Poland, with the support of their national CSR organizations. So in order to understand the aim and the approach of Upskills for Future project, I would like to introduce you Andrea Bitnerova, Project Manager of CSR Europe. Thank you, Andrea, for joining us. I know that you have a couple of slides to show us, but I would like to raise the first question as a starter. What are actually the main goals of Upskill for Future project? That's my question.
Thank you very much, Luis, and good afternoon, everyone. It is my utmost pleasure to speak on behalf of CSR Europe today and to tell you more about our project. So the main goals. The main goal is, first of all, to look at the HR function, as you already mentioned. So look at, even HR transformation, how we can make sure that HR is more strategic, more empowered, more of a decision-making body to make sure that we engage in what we call in our project inclusive workforce transitions. So we look at how HR transformation can lead to inclusive workforce transitions. And you may now be asking, what are inclusive workforce transitions? So in our project specifically, we are looking at what we call vulnerable workers, or sometimes we call them employees at risk. And in our project, we identify them as workers, usually low-skilled workers, who are at risk of losing their jobs because of automation and digitalization. While we know that we could be looking at many more, mega trends such as climate change or demographic change, we really took this narrowed down approach in our project to look at how technological disruptions may, interfere with the current and future positions.
Okay, so can you share with us what are the project results or the main outcomes achieved so far by the project?
Of course. So before I get to that, I need to explain a little bit more about the project so that it makes sense what I actually am talking about. So as you can see in this slide, and as it was already mentioned, the project is taking place with our 5 project partners in 4 countries, and those partners engage around 30 plus companies at that local level in that country. And 3 main areas that we look at, the 3 key HR processes, are strategic workforce planning, training and development, and flexibility and mobility. So in strategic workforce planning, we are really looking at, whether companies forecast what kind of skills and positions will be needed in the future, and whether they have midterm and long-term business plans in place, and how is HR department engaged in all of this. In training and development, it's kind of self-explanatory. So there we really look at whether continuous learning is a part of a corporate culture, and what kind of training is provided, what kind of incentives, whether employees are recognized for their learning efforts, and especially whether those vulnerable workers are receiving any kind of special training. And in flexibility and mobility, we look at all kinds of different instruments that can be offered to foster functional flexibility. It could be job shadowing, mentoring, secondment opportunities, and so on. So if we move to 2 slides ahead, please. Yes, thank you very much. So what we were doing this year, because this year is a first phase, what we call assessment, HR readiness assessment, we looked at how companies are or aren't already ready, HR ready for running inclusive workforce transitions. So having upskilling, reskilling programs for their most vulnerable workers. So we developed a framework based on the 3 areas that I just talked about, and we developed a very comprehensive questionnaire to ask those 30 plus companies, what are you already doing and where are your weak spots? These results that you see are the very, very first and fresh results. So we are still currently analyzing more of an international approach to see how the companies stand compared to each other across the countries, also a sectoral view. But what we've done so far is an individual approach, so a report for every single company that took part in the assessment, and also a national approach, how the companies are doing within the same country. So let me explain the results very briefly. You can see two kinds of graphs. You can see general scores and specific scores. So in the general scores, we really looked at how companies are mature already when it comes to their general workforce. While in the specific scores, we really investigated what they are doing when it comes to those vulnerable workers. So also the questions and the assessment that we did in these parts was very different and differently targeted. When you look at the results, so the blue lines are the strategic workforce planning, the red lines are the training and development, and the green lines are flexibility and mobility. In some cases, you will see that there are not so many differences, across countries. For instance, when you look at training and development with regarding the general workforce, it's more or less the same. But for instance, for flexibility and mobility, France has a higher score than Spain or Italy. So while in some categories, especially training and development, we see that the scores are quite similar, and that's not surprising because training is very often already embedded in the companies, some kind of culture. But not all the companies really predict the future positions and do a skills gap to identify what will be needed. And especially for flexibility and mobility, there's still a vast potential to implement different kind of resources to support employees. But overall, when it comes to the general workforce, the results, not in all countries, but for some countries, are rather high. On the other hand, when we look at the specific scores and the vulnerable workers, and here, unfortunately, we weren't so surprised because that's why we're doing the project in the first place, the score goes much lower. While we see very high score on the flexibility and mobility when it comes to vulnerable workers, all those other categories are rather low. So that means that, for instance, companies do not even identify a group of vulnerable workers, but that can be also happening for various kinds of reasons. They don't have a dedicated training, which makes sense. If they don't identify them, then they don't have a dedicated training for them, and they don't also have specific mobility instruments for them. So what this really represents is, while many companies are already mature with so many processes and activities when it comes to those three key areas, there's still very, very much to do for the vulnerable workers.
Okay, thank you, Andrea, for your explanation. So, and my final question to you is about the expectations. So we know already that the project is implemented in 4 different countries. So what are the future expectations and the next steps for this particular project?
Yes. So currently, as I mentioned, we're still analyzing all the results, and we are providing them to our partners so that they can go back to the companies and actually show, okay, this is what the assessment, tells you. These are your weak spots. And this is something that we will focus on next year, because next year it will be very practical, hands-on. It will be all about the companies and the vulnerable workers. So each company, based on the results, the assessment they receive from us, and the identification of weak spots, they will design their own action plan, and their key action, we call it a pilot for those vulnerable workers. So wherever there's a weak spot in one of those 3 areas, they will choose an activity, and it can be a 2-week full-time course. It can be a more spread out 3-month activity. They will make sure that they engage in some way to, pilot some action towards those vulnerable workers. Of course, it will have to be, individually fit to every company, because companies have different sizes, different kinds of resources. And after we run these pilots, we will do the evaluation. So we will have a final event, a final publication. And the ultimate aim is, of course, that the pilots won't stay only pilots, but they will become something very naturally embedded in the company's culture to, offer upskilling and reskilling programs. So if anyone's interested in the results that I just talked about, we will have a publication early next year. So you can get in touch with me, and I will be more than happy to share the results. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm very much looking forward to hearing from the companies today to hear practically what they're already doing and when they where they maybe see the gaps and know that there's a potential to improve.
Okay, Andrea. So thank you once again. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I think it was a very good summary what the project is planning to be done in the different countries. And talking about expectations, so people or the companies or the countries that are interested in implement this project, well, they have to choose at the moment. They can wait for the publication on beginning of next year, or if they goes to the project, or if they want to implement the project in a very short period, they can contact you directly. So that's the message that I would like to underline. Moving faster to the next slot, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Move to the next. Well, we are now on time to move to the presentations. And before we start with our first guest, I would like just to say just a few things. And one of the important things is, according to the Van der Leyen Commission, upskilling is a necessity for workers, as it helps them to cope with the technological changes. And we know that there are a lot of changes that is coming now. At the same time, as upskilling is beneficial for companies, as it allows them to stay competitive and innovative. To know exactly what the companies are doing at the moment, and to discover the last, I would say, best practice to pursue upskilling effectively, let's learn from experience. And in order to have this input from the companies, I would like to introduce Paolo Rivera. Paolo is the People and Culture Director of Philip Morris, Italy. So, Paolo, thank you very much for joining us, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for inviting. Hope you're all safe at your end, which is the first thing that we usually ask these days. And I'll go very quick to our experience, which will show you what in Philip Morris generically, but in Philip Morris Italy specifically, we are doing in order to really increase the level of engagement, but more generically increase the level of employability for all those people who decide to join us and for the people who are already our colleagues. Next one, please. The first thing that I usually discuss before talking about employment is what is employment? Because the first time we, especially if you are in a company where people tend to stay for a long period with high seniority, the first thing you have to explain is what is employability. Because, you know, when you start talking about employability, and especially if you are from HR or PNC, they ask you, why are you telling me this? Employable where? So the first thing you have to explain is that employability is a concept that with a bit of, let's say, it's a bit selfish. So it's about you, and it's about the competencies that you will have to learn in order to be employable in this company for a longer period, but if you decide elsewhere, and even in another company. And this is not an easy cultural shift to do if you have not done before, and if people are not used to employability for the competencies and for the skills themselves. The second point is, thank you, next. The second point, which brings us to our transformation, to the transformation that Philip Morris is going through in this year, is why are we taking this now? Because to use the title of a very known book, the skills that made us successful in the past won't be enough to ensure success in the future. And this is valid for everybody in general, but it's more and more valid for the people in Philip Morris in these days. Why? Because, next one, please. Because we have moved from a very stable business, which is based on products that you all know, and is based on brands that you all know, Marvel and others, from a very stable and efficient way of producing our product, and from a very established way of delivering our product, because in the case of Italy, but also in many other countries in Europe, the tobacco products cannot stable environment where all our employees knew what they had to do and knew what to expect, and also people joining from outside knew what to expect, we have moved to a different, completely different environment, which is in the next slide. The new environment is based on a new product, which now aims at giving people a new chance of enjoying tobacco in a different way, which is not by burning it, but by eating it. And this is an approach which is based on a total new story. It's based on scientific research a long time. It's based on a completely different way of producing these products. It's based on completely different things that we didn't have before. Like, for example, we didn't have before any need to have people or hiring people who are expert in electronic devices, or for example, being expert in customer service, because when you ignite a cigarette, the product disappears, while in the case of the products that we have today, we have an electronic component which needs to be taken care even after the usage. So completely new world. We had to change basically everything. So where did we start? Next, please. We started from the typical three elements. The first one is the culture. So, what is changing in our culture because of this huge product and huge business change? The second question is, what is the right organization? What are the people and the skills and the contributors for this new kind of business? Are them those that we had in the past? Do we need new ones, and in which percentage? And the third one is it's about the smart way of working. So how should we change the way of working so that everybody can really be effective in this new world? We started from the very top, which is next, please. Thank you. Which is also the sentence that you see in the top right of the chart, which is the tag made history. The first thing that we change is our vision. Our vision today is to support, to have our people who support our vision to making history, because the thought of helping people who are smokers today change their habit into something new, it's in a way something that will make history, because nothing happened like this in the past 150 years in the world of tobacco, if you don't consider e-cig, which is not tobacco. So the first thing, it's what is the vision that you have today? So put yourself in the shoes of an employee or in the shoes of somebody who wants to join our company today. The question is, why should I change my way of working? What has changed high level? High level, the vision has changed. The vision is now to make history to a complete different paradigm, to a complete different way of making decisions. Next, please. The second thing that we change is the way we work, which is not anymore going through a known path, which is a path based on efficiency, based on known product, but is a path of trying, failing, taking from the trial what has gone well, and reapplying what has gone well and amplify, which is think big, start small, move fast. This is a completely new way of working for people who have been working for years into predefined paths, which were mostly going through efficiency. Next, please. The second thing that we change is the leadership model. What you're seeing here on the right side is the 5 elements of our leadership model today. For some of you who are working into mass market or consumer goods, could be quite obvious. And consumer at the core is the first thing which is obvious for any mass market company. It was not that obvious before, because when you deliver a product which is standardized and pretty much the same for decades, You don't need anymore to have the consumer at the core, meaning that you don't need to listen every day and every moment to the need of the consumers, because you know what are the needs of the consumers. Now, the first point that we have is consumer at the core. So going back to the consumers and ask them, what do you really need? What really will drive your change to a new habit, to a new product? And then the others are obvious in line with what we discussed before. So how to be innovative, even with small innovation, which then can be amplified throughout the company. How to be people activators, so how to make sure that the people feel the energy that we have for our transformation and spread this energy through the organization. What is really a meaning creation? So what do we need to create in order to add a value to what we have today? And forward leaning, which is of course looking ahead. I'm going very fast, but then if you have questions, of course, we will tackle them later. Next, please. We also reviewed our policies of inclusion. We are one of the first companies being equal salary certified worldwide, but this is not just about a certification. This is about reviewing all the sometimes stereotypes which identify the tobacco sector as a very male-dominant sector, as a very mechanicistic, if you want, sector. So we did a lot of training with our people, and making them understand how we want to be in the future, what is the kind of population that we want to have in the future, what is the kind of policies that we are changing, and how we will measure, which is the most important thing, the progresses that we will do in this area. So first, inclusion and diversity. Then, the other point which we clarified and reshaped is the career. So what are the elements to have a career in this new world, and what are the decisors of the career in terms of people and tools? And this brought to a new, completely new way of evaluating the performance, a new complete way of shaping teams to define what is the development of people, a new way of scheduling the point of attention for the development throughout the years. Nowadays, we don't just have a performance review and a talent review every year. We have development reviews throughout the year, at least twice a year, when we review the development that each person was assigned. And this review is done by the supervisor, it's not done by PNC. So the supervisor takes a commitment, and then he has to bring forward to the next quarter and talk about it to his peers. And this gives ownership to the supervisor for the development of career, and gives also more credibility to the people that their career plan and their development will be properly followed. The other point, next. The other point is localization. It's obvious to talk about localization now that the COVID has created the interconnected and localized world that we have today. But even not considering the current situation, the question mark which we started taking time ago is where should some jobs be localized, and how do our talent, internal and external, react to localization, and more specifically to international moves? Because in time we realized that there have been occasions where we have lost some talent just because they could not move somewhere else out of their affiliate or out of their birthplace or place where they were living, because of family issues. And this is becoming more and more relevant, because more and more we have families where more people are actually pursuing a career, which is equally important to all the people in the family. So the question which we started asking ourselves is, which are the roles which really require relocalization in order to be performed well, and to which extent? And this is not a very easy question, because apart from identifying which are the roles and how the roles can be performed, which changes the organization and the design of the roles, it also can change, in fact, the way we manage and the features of our relocation policies and information on those policies. There is also another factor which comes in, which is a factor which is more about diversity and inclusion, which is we analyzed not before, was still one thing about the one before. Previous slide, thank you. No, the previous one. Okay, the previous one. Anyway, about localization, we also started digging into the demographics of people, because we discovered that not only the young, let's say, or less senior people are willing to move, but it's also a complete new slice of people who, for example, have families with sons and daughters who are at university, who become free for relocalization elsewhere after a certain age or after a certain seniority. And those people are really fundamental to spread experience and to spread competencies, maybe in countries where the level of the business is not as evolved as it is in their own countries. Next one, please. The other point is about personalization of the benefits. We all know that flexible benefits nowadays is the mantra. We have gone through, in the past 7 years, to a long journey of activating flexible benefit portals and then personalizing those benefits panel, up to a point where now we have a continuous discussion between the Work Council and the people themselves through surveys a couple of times a year, where they actually tell us benefits, which are the emerging categories of benefits that they would like to have. And just to contextualize it to COVID-19, this has been really important during the lockdown period, because having this mindset already set and the software, of course, already set, allowed us to activate a number of benefits which were ad hoc for the COVID-19 period and the management of those periods with all the problems that this has created and generated in families, just because we could activate them from remote and just include in the culture and in the software that we have. In absence of this, we could have not done it so easily and so fast. So personalization and employee benefit will be really a core, because more and more the intangible of the compensation will assume as importance as the tangible of the compensation. And the last point is about coaching, which is a big word just to say two things. Not coaching per se, is about the relationship between the supervisor of the person. All that I mentioned means nothing if the supervisors are not properly trained to manage all the things that I've talked about. Because as PNC or as HR, you can be as pervasive as you want, but you will never be able to reach with an individualized and the personal message throughout the life cycle of all the employees, all the people. This message will have to be brought directly and reinforced by the supervisor. So the supervisor has to be prepared, and also, as many of us are part of organizations where the supervisors change very fast, the handover between the supervisor and the continuity of all those plans, development plans, career plans, and benefit plans, to the supervisors has to be the first priority in order to make sure that people do not have, let's say, one golden period because of one supervisor, and then they are abandoned, or then they see that their plans are not actually followed. So this is very briefly the experience we are going through. I know it was very fast, but was just to give you an experience of what happens to PNC when a product changes a business, and how difficult but exciting is to change all the other parts of the business. Thank you.
So, Paolo, thank you very much for your presentation. I think it was very useful to understand and to know how Philip Morris is managing this subject. So, thank you. It's now time to move very quickly to our next guest. So, and I would like to introduce you Agnieszka Bartniowska. Sorry, or my apologize if I'm not spelling correctly your surname, but Agnieszka is the change management expert of BPN Paribas Bank of Poland. So please.
Hello everyone. So today I would like to share our experience and best practices regarding upskilling the workforce for the new era. And if you could jump to the next slide. So as you can see, this is on the picture. This is our strategy of our bank. So digitalization is already in the DNA of our company, both in the group as well as in the BNP Paribas Bank Polska. So we have actually two paths of digitalization, and one is directed to our clients. So our products and solutions, we try to make it as much aligned to our clients' needs as possible. And the second path that I'm responsible for is digital culture for and digitalization for our employees, so they understand how the market changes. And we are doing this that is aligned with our organizational culture and bank strategy. We're introducing new ways of working like design thinking and service design while creating new products, agile methods. So we've chosen the Scrum method, and we are creating agile teams and tribes. We introduced remote working much before the COVID comes, so we were actually prepared for the new reality. And what we also do is for the most of the employees, we ask them to spend 10% of their work to the transversal projects, so they can learn different skills and how to manage a project, not only in the daily work, but also in other projects. We are very open to sharing skills both inside the company and outside. And we are also introducing flex office after the COVID. We hope it will be gone soon. We are moving to the new building with new ways of working, more collaborative spaces, desk sharing, etc. And if you could jump to the next slide. So apart of gaining new knowledge and competences in the everyday work, we also have a lot of awareness activities regarding transformation that are dedicated to all of our employees. Like we are cooperating with a lot of startups, so we organize startups coffee meetings to inspire our employees, whether we want to start a cooperation with the startup or just to get inspired what is possible, so they can think in their business whether they could use this. We have also inspirational breakfast with digital experts, so it's very similar to this event when we invite a digital expert and have a discussion and session with them. A digital academy that is open workshops for everyone, and we learn basic information regarding big data, artificial intelligence, design thinking, agile methods, blockchain, etc. We also have a user experience academy for people who would like to work more with design thinking. Agile days, we have both open days, agile on demand for the teams. We also conduct a lot of open sessions. We have a group online platform introducing digital topics, and we also buy tickets for digital events and conference for our employees. And if you could jump to another slide. Thank you. And we have also several activities dedicated to a specific group of employees. So we enable our employees to reskill or upskill for new job positions, like we have Agile Academy. And during these sessions, you can become a Scrum Master or Product Owner. We have also Cloud and AI University that are dedicated to employees who want to change their job or upskill on current jobs. So we have a lot of vouchers for the training regarding cloud, artificial intelligence, big data, and these are dedicated mainly to people working in business or in IT. And we have also talent program for employees interested in digital solutions, and these are digital ambassadors who are first to know what is changing in our company, and they promote those solutions among their coworkers. Sorry, I can't hear you. I can see you are speaking, but I think you are muted.
I'm not unmuted. So I'm asking if you did you finish your presentation?
Yes.
Is it your okay? So Agnieszka, thank you very much for sharing with us. I would say your best practice, and actually I would like just to underline one of the things that you have mentioned, which I believe is very important for the company's perspective, which is if you want to deploy a digital culture, you have to make sure that you are aligned with the culture of the organization with the business strategy. So I think, in my personal opinion, it's the basic, and this is something that we have to have in our minds at the time we define to implement a digital culture. So thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you. And now it's time to move to the next guest. So, and in this case, we will have a double team. So, and I would like to introduce Laura Bruno. Laura is the head of human resources of Sanofi Italy and Malta, and also Francesco Veneziani, who is the HR country labor relation manager from Sanofi and Italy. So please. Hello? Laura and Francesco?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello. I just leave you the phone to Laura.
Yes. Hello. Hi, good afternoon. I'm happy to be there. So I would like to start off our journey we did for future leadership in a smart environment in Sanofi. This is a journey we started more or less 3 years ago, and in particular, there was an acceleration last year. The aim of this journey is really to look at how to re-engage and to review our organization to the different challenges we are having in our industry. I'd like to give you a little bit of overview of Sanofi in Italy. In Italy, we have 2,400 employees, 4 industrial plants, and we have, we are a very large clinical study unit present in Italy, who is also working on Southern Europe. We are 1.5 billion sales with a huge investment in clinical research and in industrial sites. This presentation and this introduction also because we started to look at our market to review our strategy, our culture, and our leadership, and how we are going to also engage our team. In terms of industry challenges, if you go to next slides, please, there is a high level of business transformation due in particular to digitalization. A lot, also the previous colleagues talk about the digital revolution. of merger and acquisition in our industry. In particular, there is a transformation in terms of research and development approach. So we are going to buy and to integrate many biotech companies, because there is a transition towards biotech molecules in the industry. And we are looking also to next generation healthcare solution, which is not only drugs, but which is an integration of services and drugs. So there is now an healthcare solution, while in the past our companies were focused only on molecules and products. In terms of ecosystem, and this is really important also to look at our employees, who are also potentially our patients and our social influencers. So we are going to engage a lot of them also in our marketing solution, and we look at them also as customer, internal but also external customer. There is a lot of involvement compared to the past, in particular due to the internet, in terms of social influencing of health and patient engagement. So now patients are no more passive and considered as a final customer, but are active and are influencing also our solution. On top of that, there is a high price pressures and regulation for our government in terms to reduce the healthcare spending in our industry and in our states. So due to that, we have been going through a workforce planning exercise to adapt our organization. I leave the floor now to Francesco to go into the details of this exercise and what we have done in terms of culture metamorphosis. Thank you to all. We are available then for questions.
Yeah, pleased to meet you. Due to our people strategy, we landed on 2019 with our workforce planning exercise, looking at the main pillar to adapt our organization. Our age curve in the company, we realized that is a bit higher due to the seniority of the majority of our management. So the main pillars of our exercise was the D&I and young potential reinforcement in the company, focus on training and knowledge transfer, and in particular with the aging population, considering the managerial line that could be reinforced in upskilling culture environment. Naturally, the COVID-19 made a big disruption inside the company in terms of also of managerial approach. Please, next one. The velocity, the acceleration plan was really high, because we passed through a presence managerial organization to a distance approach. So we realized many difficulties inside the company, how to manage teams in a distance way, with some kind of soft skills different between the past. The next one, please. So we started with a big cultural program change inside the company, just to be focused how to switch the cultural mindset from an activity management approach to a result management, how to switch our company management approach to a power and stable culture and command and control modality to manage the team in a way that responsibility and trust will be the fundamental axis inside the relationship between head and employees. We thought about the cultural matter inside the environment, how to improve, how to change in a certain way to move through a company more innovative, more agile. Please, next one. So we define three main axes, how to move a systemic approach for change management approach in terms of managerial culture through behaviors, symbols, and systems. We, starting from September, we approached our manager, about 100 people, with a training program regarding the distance leadership. So how to manage people in a distance way, how to maintain a motivated and engaged in a not present activities, how to switch the mentality from activity management to a result ones. And then in the meantime, we approach all the symbols of the power inside the company, like parking, like desks, like phones in the offices, all the visible technology that could change regarding the symbol of a traditional way of working. And then, according also with the unions, we try to make an experimental agreement regarding smart working 5 days to 5 days. So leaving the manager to manage the possibility to work in the office or at home or in a co-working space in a smart totally modality. Please, the next one. So we share a systemic approach to boost our smart organization, putting how to create values with stakeholders, external and internals, like the main principle in our organization approach, trying to work together also with the communication to broke all the silos, internal silos about sharing information in a transparent modality, and try to reinforce and to empower our people to make decisions also without following the hierarchy, the formal hierarchy internal the company, trying to focus on priorities just to boost the organization in our main goals, and to leave the people also to propose through also internal survey, pioneering solution, how to reshape our internal spaces, timing, and also result modality approach. So we realized at the end that getting back to the past for our organization will be impossible, and then we are trying to build our future in a day-to-day approach with the cooperation of our employees. Thanks.
So, Laura and Francesco, thank you very much for your presentation. So, very useful for us to know a little bit more about the pharma sector, so to be informed about the trends, and also to know or to be more familiar with the impact of COVID-19 on the management activities and also on the new ways of working. So very important for us in general to understand what is happening in the pharma and the ways that you are using in order to manage that. So next point is questions and answers, and in order our agenda, it's time to Ricardo Trujillo from Forética in Spain to lead this, and I know already that there are a large group of questions and comments that we are receiving in the chat. So Ricardo, I think you are prepared.
Yes, hello Luis, hello everybody, thank you for staying here with us today. It's been really interesting presentations and really good models on how difficult and the opportunity that we have in front of us regarding sustainability and the future of work. So there have been some interesting questions in the chat. I've selected 2 or 3 of them in order to see if our panelists want to jump in and give some answers on them. I will start with the first one. Will be forecasting of skills in a VUCA world. So we all understand that we live in a very volatile and uncertain world, and people in the room feel that it's now more difficult than ever to forecast what the skills two companies will need in the future, and how you can or where do you find those inspiration or those workforce planning strategies to understand what would you need in the next 5-10 years, and how we can provide that. So if any of the panelists would like to jump in and say a little bit or give some light on this, would be good. I don't know, Paolo, Agnieszka, Laura, Francesco. I see Paolo.
Hi, Paolo.
Yes.
I think in my humble answer from my little observatory, I think that today, nowadays, talking about planning skills for 5-10 years is unrealistic. We don't even have in stable businesses people, managers who plan for 5-10 years. Nevertheless, if I look at the next 3 years, for example, there are some directions which are really clear, especially when it comes to digitalization. First, the understanding of the consumer dynamics, which is even more than in the past something which is common to all the, which is shared throughout all the functions, regardless where you belong to. I would say it's impossible anymore to be part of a commercial organization of any kind, especially in non-central affiliates, which I mean, where the affiliate is not the headquarter, not being part of the core commercial team, even if you are in staff function. But the most important thing is, I know it might sound pretty obvious, is being able and open to learn a new skill any moment. So the more people get into a specific niche of skills, and the more they get profound in that, even they decide to stay there for a long time, or they will have a mission. And more there is possibility to go through this kind of exposure to different skills, because we have plenty of resources internally to the companies and outside who can help us keeping an eye on other skills, still being very competent on other skills.
Thank you, Paolo. Anyone that would like to get on that? We have plenty of them, so don't worry. You will have time to, or you have other angles to cover. But okay, I don't see you. Okay, the next question would be about informal skills certification. It's something that it's like a really strong trend, or something that it's yet to be adopted in your organizations. Is something that you are thinking about doing it? Have anybody of the panelists any views on that, on an informal skills certification?
So maybe I will answer this question. For BNP Paribas, it doesn't matter whether you have a certificate for the skill or not. What we search is your practical experience. So if you are in a project that works in agile methods and you work on it and you have the skills, we don't need the certification confirming that you have all the knowledge, theoretical knowledge.
I would like to take Laura from Sanofi to give you our experience. We are going now to go in the next month through the big company certification in one part of our business, the consumer one. Till now, we decided not to have any specific certification. We have only the social report. But we really think that this might help us in having more to boost our structural approach on these items. So this is why we will go through this type of certification.
Thank you, Laura. The last one that I rescued from the chat is about in these difficult times of pandemic of COVID-19, there are new ways of collaborating or of maybe helping the society, the community, but at the same time trying to work with your employees in order to gain new skills, new abilities throughout corporate volunteer. And the question was about if some of your organizations have projects like that, where corporate volunteers work with NGOs or SMEs, helping them in these difficult times and gaining new skills that could be useful in other new posts or new employees. So, does any of your organizations have a project similar to this and would like to share it? Okay.
We as BNP Paribas support a lot NGOs, and we are also often a sponsor or partner in different activities like recent Women Update that encourage women to start their career in IT and change their career path. We support, we have the panelists from BNP Paribas. However, we do not ask our employees, women employees, to take part in that, but we inform and promote, but do not ask them to take part in this part of activities, more like promoting and supporting the NGOs.
Thank you, Agnieszka. Paolo, I saw you were activating your camera. You wanna jump in, or you wanna go through the next question?
No, actually, we have an employee volunteering program where we actually invite our employees to participate in work for NGOs, and then we make sure the time that people have taken out of the work for dedicating to the community, we match with the additional time off that they can use to keep dedicating to those kind of NGOs. So, for example, if we use 1 or 2 days, we make another 1 or 2 days for them to go back and contribute again to this kind of initiatives. Of course, all the initiatives have to be connected to some kind of NGOs or initiative that we did not.
Okay, thank you, Paolo. And this question is for Sanofi, Laura, Francesco. What have you been? You have talked a lot about a strong or a really big switch on your cultural organizational mindset, and that you change it a lot. And what have been your learnings from the process? I guess sometimes it's been difficult. Now you see it as successful, but if you could share with us some key learnings and good tips that other organizations could use, what would you be? What would them be?
Yeah, there is we face a lot of resistance internally. It's normal when you shake up your organization and try to move the stable pillars of the management, like naturally when you face to basically review the spaces, the allocations, the job titles. So it's normal, but I think for HR functions in particular is a challenging period, just to boost and to catch up this acceleration, just to try to be aware with the people that the time is the right time to make changes, because all the environments is clearly changing very, very fast, respecting to the past, in particular before the pandemic situation. So we think as a company that it is the right time to accelerate all the change management process inside the company and go forward. Try to leave people engaged and motivated for the change that is going to be real and visible inside the organization.
Ricardo, I think you are in mute.
Sorry again. I was saying that the next question was for Agnieszka, because we understood that BNP Paribas is on a strong movement towards digitalization and new digital jobs, probably new digital business too. And the question is regarding your digital culture and leadership model and how you make it work. What are the good things you have gone through the process?
Yes, first of all, they are aligned with our strategy, and digital transformation is a strong pillar of our strategy. So we all understand that if we want to move on, we need to have digital transformation as our one of the first priorities. And as you probably know, we merged a lot with different banks. So because of that, we needed a little to stop our business and to focus more on the integration process. That's why now we are focusing a lot on our digital transformation regarding client offer for the clients as well as for the employees, and all our actions are dedicated to all of the employees. However, some of the activities are dedicated to the leaders, so they could also know how to manage their team in new reality like flex office, remote working, or in this pandemic situation as well. So we have the program of awareness activities and changing new ways of working. And some of them are dedicated particularly to our leaders. And of course, they have in their KPIs as well the digital transformation. So it's all aligned, and it's very important that you have digital transformation in your company's strategy, so you can always refer to that and put this as a priority.
Thank you, Agnieszka. Really interesting times for your business. Also, probably for Paolo's business. It's you talk a little bit about the changing of your business model and also the changes of your ways of working. So it's like a double shift on changing. I guess probably it's also you feel sometimes certain uncertainty among workers, and the question would be how you do when you try to engage workers in those changes in certain times. What's your tips there?
Well, of course, I mean, my presentation was all focused on change in a certain time, so most of the answers were already there. But the first thing when you do, it depends on the company. I mean, the first thing that you have to do when you change the direction in a company like ours, which has always the same direction for many years. First of all, to start, as I said, from the vision. But this is very peculiar to us. I mean, if you change really from the top, what you have to do is make a clear vision and give time for employees to digest the vision before you change all of this. We started before you change all the other aspects. We started communicating the new vision and the new why of our new business a long time ago, at least 4 years ago. So it's a long journey. And then in time, throughout these 4 years, we activated all the other practical stuff, which is the way we work or the leadership model and so on and so forth. Of course, this is when you go to a change which impacts all the areas of the company. Sometimes you have smaller changes where the vision of the stays pretty much the same, and then what you need is maybe the way you work in terms of efficiency or the way you build the skills in terms of diversity of skills. In our case, it was from the very beginning, and the key point is time, and for sure starting from the long-term vision. If people perceive that they are working efficiently on a day-to-day basis and they are happy on a day-to-day basis, but nevertheless when they look long-term they feel lost, they will not stay engaged long-term.
Thank you, Paolo. Really interesting insight there. Just for finishing the Q&A and Luis not being very late, yeah, I would like the panelists to give us a really quick message. We are under SDG Summit. We are talking about an economy with and for people, and I would like you to share a message about companies and for people too. So please.
I can go first.
Okay.
Laura? Yes,
yeah,
but I really think that as HR and managers guiding our organization, we really need to have the courage to break the resistances, because this is the most important thing, to be the courage to be resilient and continue to communicate, not to give up, communicate to people and break the resistance and take some courageous actions also in all the organization from the top.
Thank you, Laura. Paolo? You are muted, sorry.
Sorry, no visible. I can go through something which might sound a bit unpopular, but to me is a very close to it, which is we are in a pandemic time, and pandemic time is always a terrible time. And the only way to make use of terrible time is to take the good things and make them stay. And the suggestion I'm giving to myself and to all my HR colleagues is this terrible time is giving HR an incredible chance to change some of the things which for years and years have gone through resistance in our company. So please make sure that you use this terrible time in the good way, which is to keep some of the changes which have been activated now and some of the cultural changes which have been imposed in a way now as something normal and healthy for the future, which is about the way we work, which is about the way we think about long-term and short-term. And it's also about the way we manage people and the way we interact in teams. If we lose this occasion, thanks God, there will not be another one.
Thank you, Paolo. Really strong message there. Agnieszka, last words.
What I would advise to listen to your employees and clients. The voice of staff and clients is very important, and they can tell you a lot. And be courageous regarding the innovation. Don't be afraid to test and learn, also from your mistakes, because you will be for sure wiser. And maybe this is the solution you seek for.
Thank you, Agnieszka. Love to hear your thoughts. And really interesting insights there to note down and read it carefully at the end of the session. Luis, it's your turn. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Ricardo, and all our speakers for your comments and explanations about where you are at the moment. So, and we have to now move to the conclusions and the next steps. We are in a good shape, and thanks again for your ability to summarize the really important things about the upskilling theme. I have to say that I have the opportunity to take some notes, And the first one is about the upskilling itself. And I think the main conclusion is the upskilling is actually a change management process. And I mean at the moment is a global change management process, because it's taking place everywhere. And it is really important that the different companies that are implementing this transformation process as first to define a strategy, and then to define an action plan in line with the culture of the organization, and in line with the business process. So that's my recommendation, or our main conclusion. So the second point on the second aspect is about HR. So, and as per the different explanations, or as per the different presentations, we can also conclude, I believe, that the HR will have an important role in this process. But also the communication is really important, to communicate internally the process, the main objectives, what the people can expect, and what the targets that we need to achieve as an organization. So don't forget HR and communication as also to be aligned. The third point is about a good example that we have to we pass today on this roundtable. So, and for me, upskilling is an excellent example on how CSR Europe from one side, the CSR local organizations and the different companies, independently of the sectors and the size, can work together, and how partnerships are crucial to achieve the sustainable development goals. So partnership is real crucial in this process. So another aspect that I would like to underline, and this comes from Andrea presentation. So it's about the Upskill for Future project. As we have the opportunity to mention to all of you, so Upskill for Future has been launched by CSR Europe 2.5 years ago. We believe that is a key project for companies to work on the upskilling transformation. So talking about future, so people in CSR Europe believe that the project can be extended to the other countries, to the other companies. So please be on board with us, because this project can facilitate or can be very useful for us, or for those who has to face this big or huge transformation process. And finally, companies need to invest in people. So I think that's the main message, has to invest in people, and business leaders must understand the reskilling employees as a significant midterm dividends, not only for the proposal of the company, but also for the benefit of the society. So, and I would like to conclude my intervention. So I think we are on a good shape, and we will conclude this roundtable on time, which is also good. So I would like to finalize my intervention with the message from Paolo from Sanofi, which I had the opportunity to wrote in my notes, which is think big, start small, and move fast. And I think these messages can be applied to all of us. So please take care, and we all hope that this session can contribute very positively for the challenge that we have to face on this. So thank you very much. I wish you a good SDG summit, and have a nice day. Thank you all.